Hi guys, it's ASBYT and this is quite possibly the best smartphone I've been able to get my hands on this year outside of the heavily marketed, globally renowned ones. The company who made this aren't necessarily unknown, but I can pretty much guarantee that around 90% of all of the general consumers out there, in the West anyway, will have never heard of this individual phone. As a result, you get many of the similar features of the more well-known handsets, like the Samsung S21 series, latest Apple iPhones, etc., but you can pick this up for a little bit of a cut-down price. I am, of course, talking about the Zte Axon 30 Ultra, and there are certain things about this phone that make it one of my favourite phones of the year, but a couple of things that potentially hamper it, as you'll see. Let's dive into all of that. Drop a like on the video if you enjoy it, subscribe if you love this sort of content, and thanks to Huel for sponsoring today's video. So straight away, in terms of the look and feel in the hand, this is legitimately probably my favourite phone going at the moment. Metal and glass construction feels really nice and premium, great matte textured finish on the rear, but they've also absolutely nailed the ergonomics. It's large enough to be good for content consumption, but not quite as big as the likes of the S21 and Mi 11 Ultras, so one-handed use is much better and it's slim enough not to feel bulky. The sharp flat edges give it that air of elegance and even Dotty is a fan. The slim nature of this phone does potentially present one possible problem, more on that later, but firstly, what else do I like? Well, the 6.67-inch Full HD Plus AMOLED display looks great, interrupted only by the small punch-hole camera cutout that houses a 16-megapixel shooter. And yes, it doesn't have Quad HD or 4K resolution options, but it has a whopping 144Hz refresh rate. So for social media scrolling and gaming, it's as smooth as James Bond. Which James Bond, I hear you ask? Sean Connery, maybe Pierce Brosnan, but that's just me. That, I'm sure, will divide opinion. Now, there's no denying that elements of this phone have been taken from the possibly more well-known premium flagship handsets, but I don't mind that, providing the quality is on par. And on the whole, the Axon 30 Ultra is. You have the same high-end performance with the Qualcomm Snapdragon 888 chip and 8GB of RAM, which is excellent for heavy workloads, multitasking and gaming, and the stereo speakers are decent enough to enhance such activities. Unfortunately, due to the slim nature of this phone, it can only pack a 4600 mAh battery, so not huge, not massive, but it's solid enough for casual users, and the 65-watt fast charging is just the ticket for a quick fill-me-up. That sounds a bit weird. Quick top-up. Moving on. So what's the catch? How is this beautiful phone with great hardware just around 2/3 of the price of its more premium flagship alternatives at around 750 UK pounds, US dollars? Well, as far as I can see, there are a few little things and one big thing. Let's discuss them all, starting with the little things. So firstly, it's Gorilla Glass 5 instead of 6 or the latest Victus. Still fairly decent protection for glass, but could be better for sure. There's also no IP rating here and no wireless charging. Maybe a deal breaker, maybe not. But the one thing that could be potentially a deal breaker, for me personally anyway, is the camera. Now, that's not to say this camera system is terrible, because it definitely isn't. In fact, you can snap some really nice shots with this setup of 3 64-megapixel sensors and an 8-megapixel periscope zoom lens. This lens takes care of all the action from 5x optical zoom all the way through to 60x digital, with the other 3 being a 2x optical portrait lens, a primary wide, and an ultra-wide angle also. It's absolutely versatile enough, with plenty of options here to grab the shot you want, but the overall results can often be a little underwhelming, especially in terms of focus. I often find the image in the viewfinder looks absolutely great, but when you take the shot, the end results aren't quite as good as what you see originally, and that's a little bit disappointing. I often find the end result picture is just lacking in a bit of sharpness and detail. It looks a little bit soft compared to what you see in the viewfinder. I mean, legit, the camera is probably the only reason my SIM card is not in this phone right now. It ticks pretty much every single other play here. One thing you have to consider, of course, is that in my line of work, I am fortunate enough to test and use the best of the best in this department. So you could potentially say I am a little bit spoilt here. And for my job as well, social media, I want to use, where possible, the best possible camera so that my images, etc., look the best. But quite simply, as long as you can snap some nice holiday shots and a few family moments, etc., that might be enough, in which case this delivers no question, and this phone then becomes a real contender. To top it off, the software is a kind of blend between the Android experience you would expect, Android 11 in this case, and partly Huawei's EMUI and partly Apple's iOS, especially the large icons in the quick settings menu. Interestingly, I believe Google are looking to produce something similar with their next stock Android update, so possibly ZTE might be one step ahead of the game here. All in all, it's a really top phone, it's a decent price, and if those few things that I personally aren't massively keen on don't bother you, then I really don't think you could be disappointed here. Let me know what you think in the comment section below about the Zte Axon 30 Ultra. Do you think it can potentially compete with the likes of the S21 series, the latest from Apple, Huawei? It's definitely not Huawei. How are we? Oh my word. Huawei. Let me know what you think compared to those other devices. And that brings me nicely onto today's video sponsor, Huel. Now, due to the global situation, I've personally found, like I'm sure many of you have, that I haven't been able to take part in the sports, etc. that I would usually do, and my diet has pretty much gone to pot. Very questionable. Also, over the last few years, there has been an ongoing drive to create a cleaner, more eco-friendly future, which hasn't been helped by the fact that we apparently throw away approximately 30% of all food we produce. And this is where Huel could help. Formulated by registered nutritionist and dietitian James Collier, and approved by a number of dietitians and nutritionists globally, Huel is the world's #1 complete food. This means that every Huel meal contains a balance of all 26 essential vitamins and minerals, proteins, essential fats, carbs, fibre, and phytonutrients in a single product. And yes, I hold my hands up, I did have to Google what phytonutrients meant. Huel offer many different options that you can choose from, ranging from sweet to savoury, and I specifically like these hot and savoury ones, as I can often eat them before and after football, which I've just started back up now that I can again. And these meals are super tasty and easy and quick to create. Also, simply add boiling water, cover and leave for 5 minutes and done, which is great as I generally never seem to have time at the best of times, so the fact that I can just whack it in 5 minutes, done, is great. Vegan friendly, gluten free and high in protein options are all available within the Huel range, so whether you're looking to lose weight, eat cleaner or simply buy and create affordable, easy to make foods with high quality ingredients, then definitely give Huel a try. I will leave all the information to check out in the video description below, and with your first order you get free shipping, a free t-shirt, and you get a guide to get you started. Go and check it out. Drop a like on the video if you enjoyed it. Sub if you're new to the channel and love everything tech. I love you and leave you. I'll see you in the next one. Stay ASBYT. Peace out.